Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Get Your S.H.I.F.T Together Men's Podcast. If you haven't heard by now, Ja Morant, NBA star of the Memphis Grizzlies, has gotten himself into some more trouble. We talk about that today within the context of accountability, community, personal responsibility. You know what it is. Squatted up here today. Let's get it.
To the Get Your S.H.I.F.T Together Men's Podcast with your host, Dr. Myron Edmonds.
What's going on, y'all? We are here today in the month of May to get into some stuff, and we all squatted up with the brothers. Got a nice squad today. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all now, this is the Get Your S.H.I.F.T Together Men's Podcast. And we are being sponsored today by the winning Cirle And the Winning Circle is the organization that is perfectly designed to help men to win in the things that matter. And I want to encourage you right now, my brother, go to our website, mensbreakthroughmastermind.com, so you can get the coaching, the community, the courses that you need to plan, the systems you need to help you to win in the things that matter. We just came out of an amazing conference in Atlanta. It was beyond amazing. Literally, dudes were like, this is the best conference they ever attended. Can you imagine experiencing a conference like that over 8 weeks with guys that are trying to move the same way you're moving, guys that are hungry for breakthrough like you are hungry for breakthrough? Like, yeah, this is the move you need to make. Go to our website, www.mensbreakthroughmastermind.com. Be a part of the community and get the breakthrough that you need. Nevertheless, this is not a panel. This is a podcast. So we get unruly and we say things. Don't judge us. This is a men's podcast. And I just wanted to remind y'all of that because it's been a while since we've been here. And so I'm specifically saying this to Jason because Jason is back and I don't know what's happening with him. He's either getting more mature, but, I don't know. He sounds very political these days. But anyway, we got Jason Walker back in the building. We got John Coaxum, who's always stirring up trouble. So glad to have him in here, the resident therapist. And we got Lance J., all things sports, all things healthcare. He's doing big things. Fellas, I don't even want to get into banter today. I want to get right into this subject. And I want to read something right now about Ja Morant. I'm sure you guys have strong opinions on this. All of you guys are sports fans. All of you, in some respects, may even have been athletes in your own right. I can talk about that later. But I definitely know that you guys have a general sense of what's going on in the hood. I wanted to snatch this up before Jason made this a bubbling on the block situation or a man law. Who knows? It might come organically out of this. But to me, this subject is worth the conversation today for the entire podcast. Well, for those of you who have been living under a rock somewhere, don't watch sports, maybe you're on some kind of fast, social media fast. I have no idea. Whatever you're doing, Ja Morant, or as his mama calls him, I don't know if you knew this, Jason, but his name is Demetrius Jamel Morant. Demetrius Jamel. No wonder he goes by Ja. Anyway, y'all, so here's the skinny on the situation. On March the 4th, it was revealed that the NBA had launched an investigation into an Instagram live video of Ja Morant displaying a gun at a Colorado nightclub early that morning. Not to mention there were some other things going on in that strip club that I won't mention right now. This is after he lost to the top-seeded Denver Nuggets. Later that day, the Grizzlies announced that Morant would be away from the team for at least 2 games. Morant also released an official statement on that day stating that he would be leaving the team for an indefinite amount of time to find better resources to handle stress, not at the strip club, right? And brandishing guns, anxiety, and his overall well-being. He also deactivated his Instagram and Twitter accounts. The shoe company Nike, which Morant has a partnership with, just released a new sneaker with them, released a statement on the incident. In their statement, they said, we appreciate Ja's accountability and that he is taking the time to get the help that he needs. We support his prioritization of his well-being. Morant also reportedly entered a counseling program in Florida. Accordingly, 96 hours of counseling. On March the 5th, Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins stated that there was no timetable for Morant's return. And on March the 8th, the Grizzlies announced that Morant would be away from the team for at least the next 4 games. And y'all know what happened to the Grizzlies after that. But then on March the 15th, he met with the commissioner, Adam Silver, in New York after exiting his counseling program. Who's getting a FaceTime call in the middle of this amazing podcast?
Sorry. You know I'm a very busy man. I'm a very busy man.
Man, mute your stuff. Anyway, so nevertheless, he had a meeting with Adam Silver. Y'all know about this. And some other top NBA executives attended the meeting with this $240 million athlete. And the same day, the NBA announced that they had suspended Morant for 8 games without pay for the nightclub incident. The suspension covered the 6 games that Morant had already missed as a result, and most people saw this as a slap on the wrist. And then 8 weeks later, y'all, on May the 14th, we see Ja Morant again joyriding again in some nice SUV with his buddy, who we have found out his name is Devontae Pack. Devontae Pack has gone live on Instagram, and Ja Morant again is toting his iron, brandishing his gun. 8 weeks later, after his initial incident, and now everybody is talking about this, fellas. There's conversation about if he should be suspended. There's conversations about gun laws in America. There's so much intersectionality with this. But anyway, I brought all the right brothers here to talk about this today. And I want to know what your initial thoughts are about Ja Morant in this situation. And I'm going to start with the sportsman himself, Lance J. Lance, I actually haven't seen you post anything about this. Maybe you did, but I know you have some strong opinions. What's your thoughts, man, about Ja, man, in this situation?
Well, I think I'll be brief because we got a great group of brothers today. In the state of Tennessee, a lot of people don't know it is legal to carry a firearm in a concealed fashion. It's not illegal to carry a firearm in Tennessee in your car. So you guys from up north, Ohio, you can't do that. You know, Jersey, New York City, you can't do that.
That's I don't think that's true in Ohio. Now we passed a new gun.
You might have recently had that, but you have the Castle Doctrine, which allows people to carry in their car without a permit. You know, there are no issues with that. In the state of Tennessee, you can carry open carry or you can carry concealed on your person as of July of 2021. So it's legal to carry a gun. So I don't think that Ja Morant has done anything illegal. I'm huge on gun ownership. I talk on my show all the time. I own an AR-15. I own a Draco. I own several pistols. I usually carry. If you see me in Nashville, I probably have my 45 on me. That doesn't make me tough. I'm not a tough guy. I grew up with Myron. I grew up in a suburban white.
Hold on, I'm a tough guy, though. Don't associate me with the lack of toughness.
You're in the Air Force now, but I'm not tough. I don't want to shoot anyone. I've been trained. You know, I've taken a lot of hours. But it's his right to carry a gun. So I think we have to separate that. The legality, it's not illegal for him to carry a gun. I don't know if you can brandish it in the car, but I think, you know, you get into accountability as the CEO of Ja Morant Inc. in the relationship with Nike and the relationship with NBA and those other things. What he's doing is stupid and bad for business. But I just want to start it off that I don't see what he's being illegal.
Okay, this is not criminal activity. All right. Jason, go ahead. Your thoughts, your initial thoughts on this. What came to your mind when you saw Ja Morant get in trouble again?
My initial thoughts was, oh no, not again. Right, that was my initial thoughts. My second initial thought was, what's up with this dude, man? Why does he feel the need to do this? You know, it's not like you're trying to. I mean. And it's so off-brand, right? It's not like your Moneybag Yo from Memphis or like a Young Dolph or one of the hood famous Memphis rappers. You're a
and Young Dolph is dead.
Yeah, and Young Dolph is dead. You know, you're not the hood rapper. You are the franchise tag for the Memphis Grizzlies. So it's so off-brand. It's like, I don't know what's going on with you, dude. I have been down to Memphis. I have been down to Bill Street. I've been around the arena, and Memphis is very hood, right? Bill Street is very hood. That's a very hood environment down there. So I don't know if he's trying to fit in. I don't know if he's just trying to prove that he's one of the guys, you know, from around the way. But to me, it was like, it's so off-brand that you're doing all of this stuff. I'd rather see you in the gym doing some dribbling, doing something like that. So I just don't get why he's doing it. So it was just a mind blower for me. And I'll get into the rest of my thoughts a little bit down.
Yeah, no, that's good. All right, Coaxum, your initial thought.
Yeah, my initial thought was this can't be real. It's not happening again. But also another thought that came simultaneously was, you know, they're going in on another. I got triggered. All right. They're going in on another young black guy. That's what I thought at that moment. It's like, come on, man. These guys are doing all kind of crazy stuff. It's not that bad. I was thinking like Jason too. Well, this is not illegal. But then, you know, of course, doing a little bit more research, understanding the morality clause and what they're required to do as NBA players. Right now where I sit right now, and I still have some other thoughts on other sides, but it was just stupid. It was just stupid. There's no way around it. It's silly. You're wasting millions of dollars. You have hurt yourself. And, I'm thinking about it as a father, looking at him and like, what would I want to tell him? What would I share with him to help him along his path so that he doesn't screw up the rest of his life? And then also, too, I think the last thing I'll say is it's not just about the money. It's also about his life. Like, why? I think he pointed the gun to his head. I think for a moment he was just like doing like this. It's like, what's wrong? Why would you even invite that type of environment into your space or whatever? I just think it was stupid, foolish.
Yeah, I want to shift gears, but before we do, I wanted to just so my initial thoughts, honestly, were they better be as outraged about this as they were about Kyrie. Again, I can't help but compare these scenarios because it seems like we always have some black person, some celebrity who gets in trouble, and there seems to be this overreaction. So for me, I'm slightly traumatized and even triggered by the, sort of the public outcry behind some things. And that was my initial thought. I was just like, they better really punish this dude. Compared to, because all Kyrie did was just post a documentary online, and you say it's anti-Semitic. Well, to me, in my morality comparison, I would say, man, dude, we just had multiple mass shootings in Tennessee. We just had a mass shooting, right? Like this is not good. I know it's not illegal, but this is not a good look for the NBA. To me, this is a worse look for the NBA right now than it was for Kyrie's situation, especially after everything that Kyrie said after that, everything that Kyrie's done. Ja Morant ain't no Kyrie Irving from a leadership perspective, from a social activism perspective, from a philanthropic perspective. I don't know. I haven't heard. Maybe he is, but we know what Kyrie has done. We know what Kyrie is involved in. We hear of the countless scenarios and situations of Kyrie being philanthropic. Nobody questions whether Kyrie is a bad guy. People are questioning Ja Morant's morality. And I'm just like, yo, they better respond to this in kind instead of the way they responded to Kyrie Irving. Those are my initial thoughts. Anyway, based on initial thoughts, it seems like we're all over the place here in terms of like, how we see things. It's kind of amazing how everybody has a different perspective. But I know, Jason, you wanted to have a follow-up. But before we get into the follow-up, I want to just kind of preempt y'all on getting into the employee relationship piece, right? So, because all of us kind of understand that this is not a crime per se, at least in the state of Tennessee. Obviously, if this was in New Jersey or maybe in some other places, New York, we know that this would be a crime. It's not a crime. But Jay, go ahead and I know you were you were chopping at the bit to kind of get in here. I want to hear what you have to say, and then I want to kind of get into the employee relationship piece and what the NBA should do.
Yeah, one thing I want to say real quick before we go any further into the conversation is that I really want to drive home. Stop playing with these guns. I just seen an Instagram video. It was two young children playing with a gun, flashing the gun in the camera. And the young lady shot her best friend right on camera, right in the head, fell dead, right in the.
What do you mean on camera? Was this another Instagram live or some kind of social platform live video?
Instagram live video, shot the young man right in the head, fell dead, right on the bathroom floor. So, Ja Morant, anybody, start playing with these guns just to get more likes, just to get more views, just to get more traction on your page. You gotta stop playing with these guns on camera. So
okay,
I just want to put that out there.
Honestly, that's a whole different piece that I actually want us to get into, and I'm glad you brought that up, Jason. But before we get into that, Jamel Hill of the Atlantic simply said in her article, Ja Morant flunks the common sense test, and so people are really just coming for this dude's intellect, man. Like, this is just stupid. I think we can all agree that it's stupid. Let's go back a little bit. I think the first time that this incident happened back in March, I think he ended up losing somewhere near almost close to $40 million because he didn't make the All-NBA team. And most people agreed that it wasn't because he didn't have a good season, but because of some of the issues that he was having with this and then beating up some 17-year-old kid. It's not just the guns, but Ja Morant is flunking the common sense test as a NBA superstar. And he is losing lots of money. And this is what I said, James, and I want to come to you. I feel like when I look at Ja Morant and I look at the opportunity and the access that he has, I see that he has a father in his life. I see that, somebody is making some good business deals for him. I mean, he's making money. He's got his own shoe. There are things happening for him. He is a business entity of him in his own right? But you got all these guys, and this is what I said to my wife, and I just want to know what your thoughts are about this from an employee perspective. I said to my wife, think about this. I think there are 450 active NBA players on rosters in the NBA, right? 450. I don't know how many there are in the MLB. I don't know how many there are in the NFL. But think about this. There's only one professional athlete at the moment who is brandishing guns on an NFL line. One. And there's only one that's done it twice. I'm talking about within the past 6 months. This is the dude. This guy is the one that's doing it. Like, he's literally standing out for his stupidity. You talk about his relationship with the NBA, and maybe what should the NBA do about this? Do you think people are overreacting? What's the suspension look like?
I think it's an overreaction to an extent, but I mean, he's putting himself in a situation. I will say Ja Morant's a unique figure because he was a late bloomer. He went to Murray State. He wasn't LeBron. He wasn't the chosen one. He wasn't Zion, even who was drafted in the same class. He came out of nowhere. Nobody knew who Ja Morant was until maybe, 4 or 5 years ago. The tournament. You're like, man, this dude can play, So I don't think that strategically growing up, it's not like he grew up knowing that he was going to be, an elite NBA max type of player. So I think that his mindset, obviously he's buckling under the pressure of having money and fame and who to surround yourself with. And, I'll be honest, it's easy for us, a bunch of, I don't know how old John is, but a bunch of 40-something-year-old guys to judge him. None of us had $100 million when we were 23 years old. None of us had the type of access that he has. I'm not making an excuse for him, but I do think that is a major factor, that he was a late bloomer and is kind of struggling with some of this fame. I think that that's an issue. From an employment standpoint, I think everybody's spot on. I think Jamel Hill's spot on, big fan of hers, is that we have to separate what's legal from what you can do with your employer. I mean, if any of us were to brandish a gun, we would be out on our ear immediately from our employers. So I think the NBA, they're going to have to make a move because of the court of public opinion, whether it's fair or not, whether it's a black thing or not. The same with Kyrie. They had to make a move because of the court of public opinion. I'm hearing, because I have some good friends that cover the NBA, I'm hearing he's going to get suspended for half a season. And you just hope that he gets the psychological support that goes along with that. And then, I'll pass the ball over to John or Jason. He's going to need his father and his family to step up. I wish if I was acting a fool like this at 45, my father would be up on I-65 coming up from Huntsville, tanning my John Brown hind parts. I'd be getting an arse whooping. I say arse on your podcast. I'd be getting an arse whooping at the grindhouse on the bench by my daddy in front of all of those people. He's got to have people that step up personally that actually care about his well-being, but it's multi-layered. You have the legal issue, you have the NBA issue, and then you have his family.
Literally what you're saying right now, we just said this very same thing 8 weeks ago. We said the exact same thing 8 weeks ago. And the fact that we're having to say it again, something is messed up with his network. Go ahead, Coaxum, and then we're going to go to Jason last.
No, I agree. I mean, I think he just has it was just a very stupid thing to do.
What should they do? What should the NBA, in your opinion, what's fair?
They should definitely suspend him. And honestly, I think it should be severe. They need to. I think normally most people will not do beyond what they are required to do and what comes with strict consequences. And I think that for Ja Morant, he clearly did it before. He went to the NBA commissioner, told him he wasn't going to do it. He was sorry for what he did. He went to rehab. People make, all kind of criticisms about that because he was only there, 90 hours or 96 hours or something, like that or whatever, and then came out with a statement and said he's never going to do it again. And here he goes doing it again. He needs strict consequences, period. That's the way that you can help to change his behavior. To me, it seems like isn't his dad there at every single game? His dad is a part of his life. His dad is the one who coached him up to get him to the NBA in the first place. And I know a lot of people want to put emphasis on his friends. I know we're coming here in a minute, but I don't necessarily buy that as much as his own personal responsibility.
You don't buy what? You don't buy what?
I'm saying his friends and his support system are certainly a part of this issue. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for you. He is an adult, 100%. He is an adult. And you could, like, if we were to break it down in percentages, it's 50% his circle and 50% him. No, it's ultimately 100% him. And beyond us right now, he has a lot of money, right? Most of us don't. We can't stop being in certain spaces with people. We got to see them at work and school and stuff like that. Your boy is rich. He has bodyguards. He doesn't have to see any of these types of people, you know, I'm not disparaging them. He doesn't have to see them anymore ever. He could remove them totally out of his circle, and he has not done that.
Your point, though, well, let's say to your point, I mean, I think a lot of people are coming down on Ja Morant's circle, including his father, which I know we're going to get into after this, right? After the subject we go to Jason. But, dude, when I'm looking at the video, his friend, to me, is doing nothing wrong, okay? His friend is doing nothing wrong that any 20-year-old kid would do. His friend tries to protect him. His friend looked like he was surprised. And he's like, dude, what you got your gun out for? And you see the phone go down, and the phone, it's like he did not expect Ja Morant to pull his gun out and brandish it. And it's like his friend understood, like, dude, you shouldn't be doing it. It almost kind of reminded me of that time. I don't know if you guys remember some years ago when LeBron was in Miami, or maybe he had just left Miami and they were at some outdoor rooftop pool party or something like that. And LeBron James was getting it in with his boys, and some chick tried to pull up on him. And man, his squad was just like, nah, you back up. You're not getting near him. Like his community was aware. I can't even fault this kid, Devontae. Devontae, to me, did not do anything wrong, at least what I saw in this video. They were just enjoying themselves. They were going live. This fool pulls the gun out. His boy just got his hand. I mean, I'm not understanding. Anyway, Jason, go ahead. Your thoughts on the NBA's response to this.
Yeah, I think a suspension is on the way. I think it's justified. Suspension is on the way. I think they're going to make it a lot harsher than what we're talking about. Half a season will be gracious. But honestly, because of the time period from the last infraction, I think they might go a season or at least to the postseason. So that's what I'm seeing.
That's $35 billion.
Yeah, listen, I think the NBA is more focused on the outlook and the public opinion than basically, his pockets, or the Grizzlies' pockets. I think if they just slap him on the wrist, I think it's a very, very bad look for the NBA. And I think they're going to take this very, very. Wow.
I agree.
This very, very, very severe, because here's the thing, right?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised to hear you say that. Honestly,
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised we got 4 black men on here, and out of the 4 black men, there's really no sympathy for this man.
That's my sympathy.
Being unfairly treated compared to JJ Redick. Hold on, JJ Redick said JJ Redick passionately went on First Take yesterday. So most of you guys probably saw it by now, and he felt like in response to Mad Dog Russo, he kind of felt like, yo, dude, man, this is excessive considering the fact that he's 23, considering the fact that, we have politicians doing A, B, and C. I just really want to know, man, why you sound so harsh, Jason, and feel like he should get a season plus the postseason?
I used to be on ESPN radio, and that's contrived, but go on.
Yeah. But we'll take it as is, right?
So do I agree with it? No, I don't agree with it. But I think that the NBA will make him an example of proper behavior in the offseason and public image. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right. I don't think that he should be suspended for half a season or a full season. But I think because of the franchise tag he has on him, the public outlook he has on him, the endorsements, I think they're going to do it to make an example out of him.
I got a question for Jason, if you don't mind, Myron. Jason, you're an awesome DJ, and you understand hip hop culture probably better than anyone on this thread. old school Griselda, taking it back to Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, the young dudes, Future, all of that. You really blend that in your sets. Where are we in society when someone is willing to risk $100 million to appease a bunch of broke Bamas on Instagram to be in that trap culture? Because, you guys, Myron, you're from Cleveland. I'm sure you've done many funerals of people whose lives have ended in gun violence in your career. There's nothing in that trap life that's good. Like, Memphis is real. You got killers and thrillers down there. Like, it ain't no joke. Like, East Cleveland is real. You trapping out in the burbs, the worst thing that can happen to you is a cop pulls up and you get into that situation. But you get into that culture in some of these cities where stuff really goes down, where people are really getting clapped up. You know what I'm saying? Why do we as black men, and Myron, you're the lead here, but why are we drawn to that culture? This man's made it. He's only 23. He's already made it out of that. He never has to worry about.
Somebody said all of the dope boys want to be him, and and somebody said articulately. I thought it was very well said, Jason, coming to you, but he said all of the dope boys want to be athletes, and all the athletes want to be dope boys. Like, I know there's a psychological thing involved with this, but just from a hip hop culture, we can come to you, Coaxum, as well. I think this is a good point. Thanks for even adding this, Lance. But Jay, talk about the hip hop culture. What's going on, man, with this? I'm not seeing this, but I am starting to see a lot of people post up guns online, showing their money. But the street culture, at least that I'm familiar with, you didn't do that stuff. But something seems to be changing with social media. What are your thoughts? Good point.
So let's get into it, right? Memphis, right? Let's talk about hip hop culture and where we're at right now in Memphis, right? Memphis right now is the Atlanta in the early 2000s in hip hop culture, right? You got Yo Gotti, you got Young Dolph, you got Glorilla, you got Well, I'll get there. You got all these affluent, or they're leading the charge in hip hop culture right now. Memphis is. So let's take it back then. You had 3 6 Mafia tear the club up. Memphis has always been a very aggressive, violent hip hop message city, right? Young Dolph just got killed. That was a big thing there. So you can even see these people at his games. You see Yo Gotti at his games. You see, all the hip hop stars at his games. He may be trying to fit into that culture, man, because, Memphis right now is bubbling for not playing no games. You got, the whole CMG money movement down there. It's a lot going on in Memphis right now. They're shining in hip hop culture for being about that life, so he may be just trying to fit into what's going on down there. But still, that even though the city is on brand with that, I mean, you're Ja Morant. You are the franchise tag of the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know why he's trying to fit in to what they're doing down there. Now, that's what I don't see.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Memphis is not the only hood city. Go ahead, John. But I'll just say that Memphis is not the only hood city in America. I mean, you got Chicago. I mean, who's your star there in Chicago? I mean, he's not sitting up there trying to fit in with vice lords and gangster disciples. I'm just like, it just seems like there's something inside of Ja Morant, and I want to look at his network in a minute. This man's got his father in his life, like he's the opposite of a LeBron James, but LeBron James is the clean-cut guy, businessman, family man, and here's a guy who literally lives next door to his father. They got side-by-side mansions. If what I understand, his father and mother are still married, so he has both parents in his life. This is strange. Go ahead, Coaxum.
Yeah, the question is, if you're black, why do you want the the suspension to be severe? And I would say it's because I'm black that I want it to be severe. I really want him to kind of see and his eyes open to the error of his ways. The fact that he's brandishing guns like that, which you mentioned, hip hop and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't watch music videos that often, but I don't see that many guns in hip hop music videos anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not in touch. I don't see that. I see the throwing the cash and doing all that kind of crazy stuff like that. But brandishing guns the way he did clearly shows me that he's taking this for a joke. and this is the second time that he did it. I think there are consequences. Any of us as fathers, as brothers, as uncles, whatever, we would recognize immediately for a young man that there needs to be consequences here and accountability right now, or he's going to head off into a very dangerous path. You know, if I had a son, I mean, I'd be yoking him up too. I'd be talking to him. I'd be doing whatever I want. I'd be taking stuff away from him, whatever I had to do. And I think in this moment, it needs to be severe. He has a lot of money. He has a lot of cachet. He's got all this stuff going on. He needs to recognize right now the error of his ways. If he messes around, plays with a gun, shoots somebody else, or shoots himself. I just think that it's time.
It's a bad look for black people that we got this. It is a bad look for black people. That's not who we are. I'm saying, to me, this fits a stereotype. Ja Morant is literally falling into a stereotype. I was just watching something on social media the other day, and I guess there was some town hall meeting, and there was this white Southern man who was coming at like a local councilman, or I'm not sure what his position was, but he was somehow has a position in local government. And he literally says to this guy, he says, I understand you went to Harvard. He was like, well, I also know you're an athlete. He was like, do you think that being an athlete and being a minority is how you were able to get into Harvard? And of course, the guy responded and said, listen, I was able to get into Harvard because I'm smart. He was like, he said Harvard has 5 rankings, and I was in the 2nd ranking of that. But think about how white people perceive black people. Mm-hmm. That was startling to me, that if a black person makes it, they can only make it on account of their athleticism, right? Or their musicianship, that we are not smart and intelligent. And I'm saying, to your point, which I think is a good one, Ja Morant is literally, he is exemplifying the stereotype. Look, all these guys are tatted up, but I'm saying he's got the tattoos, he's got the colored locks, he's got the gold teeth in his mouth, he's got the fronts all the time, he's grittying everywhere. Okay, that's cool. I'm cool with the culture. But then on top of that, you add brandishing guns twice in a row, and you're really solidifying the fact that this is what black people are. On account of that, to me, I'm like, yes, that's a strong point. Go ahead, Jay. I know you wanted to respond.
I think most importantly, that's not who Ja Morant is. That's not what he's from. See, I think Allen Iverson is from that. That's what Allen Iverson grew up. Like, he grew up. If Allen Iverson hadn't played sports, he might be locked up right now. But that's not who Ja Morant is. Ja Morant grew up regular suburban dude, just has amazing talent. And I think all of us, I think the reason that we want to see him get lit up are 2 things. A, we want the NBA and the leagues to shut it down because we don't want to see other young brothers go that route. If they run wild on Ja Morant and kick him out for a whole year and he loses $100 million, that will deter other African-American men in other sports, not just basketball, from doing something so stupid and asinine. But I think more importantly, I don't want to read the headline 3 years from now, Ja Morant killed, opening up Instagram and seeing rest in peace, Ja Morant, because Lorenzen Wright, who played for the Memphis Grizzlies, was killed, was clapped up in his truck. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we don't want that. We don't want other brothers to be a part of this. And we don't want to see this young man, whatever's going on in his mind, whether it's society's fault, the Grizzlies' fault, the NBA's fault, whoever's fault. We don't want to see him have harm. We don't want to see him bump into cops. If cops bump into him and arrest him, if he's out on a DUI and cops arrest him, they know that he's got the gat on him. So they're going to approach him differently. Those all things play together. And I think we just want to see this brother have success and other young brothers who have had this opportunity that God has given him have success.
That's good. That's good. Go ahead, Coaxum, because I want to switch gears. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. I just want to say the reason stereotypes continue is because we keep feeding them. That's why stereotypes continue. We keep feeding them. And there is a level of truth to probably almost every stereotype out there. So when you see brothers in movies and shooting guns and gold teeth and all this kind of stuff, you know why they can produce these movies in mass and people actually watch them and believe them is because sometimes they see that, or they see it from a few individuals, but these individuals are in the spotlight like Ja Morant. And we keep allowing our black men and our black women or whatever to ascend to these higher echelons of life and to do all matter of crazy things. And other races do it too. But I'm black, so I'm talking about us and holding us accountable. And then we don't hold them accountable and we don't say anything. We just allow it to continue. I think right now I'm actually proud of like Shannon Sharpe and all these other guys and sports pundits who are now coming down hard on him. Even Charles Barkley coming down on him and saying, "Nah, man, you can't be doing this. You got to stop this right now." And I think it's time that the hammer does come down.
Okay. I want to shift gears, and that well said. I think I feel strong. I mean, you've changed my mind about it now, especially from the Black perspective and the image that it creates, and the stereotype that it continues to to reinforce. But Jason, I want to come to you on this, and I want you to use not only your mental health background, but just your life's experience as a person, bro. Like, so here's the thing for me. You got 450 NBA players. You got, I don't know how many NFL players. You got all these folks. We know this is the only dude who has done this. Because if somebody else would have done it, we would have known about it. Even if they were a B-list player, right? Maybe a G leaguer, maybe you wouldn't hear about it on this level. But what I'm saying is that for the most part, there's not a lot of athletes out here who's brandishing guns or celebrities or whatever, just brandishing guns for no reason twice within 2 months period of time. And so the first thing I look at, Jason, and this is where I want to have this conversation. I want us to end our discussion really just on this. We've got some time, but I want to get on this. Is this really on him personally? Or is this his community? And the reason I'm asking that question, because I do understand the importance of responsibility. We make choices or whatever. But man, I'm looking over here at this man's father. I see him getting into it with Shannon Sharpe. I see him courtside at every game, right? I've read stories about them. These are middle class people. His father was a former ball player himself in his own right in some respects. I'm not sure if he played college, but he played hoops. Ja Morant is your typical AAU kid. Parents basically created a ball player. He worked hard. He got to where he was. He is not a thug. We all agree on that this is not who he is. But man, I'm not, the business aspect of this thing says to me, this is the only fool that I can see. I mean, LeBron James is not the only one that surrounded himself with positive people. He's the most famous one, but a lot of these guys have the right people around them. On paper, it looks like Ja has the right people around him. On paper, it looks like he has the right people around him. How does this keep happening? Is this Ja Morant, Jason, or is this the fact he's 23? Now, my son is 18, 19. My daughter is 19, about to be 20. Yo, when my kids turn 23, yeah, they're grown, but they're not grown. They're grown, but they're not grown. If your father rolled up on you at 23 and said, do A, B, and C, you're not going to be like, I can do whatever I want. You're going to do it. He's 23. He is not 30. There's a difference here. He's a young adult. He's college age. Bro, help me out here. Who is responsible ultimately? Is it Ja, or is it his network and his community? Because he is a business. He is a business. He is not just a ball player. Not when you were making that kind of money. Curious to know your thoughts, Jason. And then, of course, I want to hear the rest of your thoughts on this, fellas.
I'll say it's 90-10. It's 90-10. I say it's 90% his community, 10% him. And I think his community and his network around him, I think they don't understand the bag. That's what I think. I think they don't understand the bag. I think they don't understand the bag. It's like, Ja, you're in a position to not only set yourself straight and your kids straight, but everybody around you and your community and your circle straight, right? What happened with LeBron can happen with anybody. LeBron is just not straight. Mav is straight. His homies is straight. Everybody is straight because they know the severity of, I got to keep this man straight. I got to be his backbone. I got to think 2 steps before he does, because I know if he goes down, we can all go down. And I think if I'm his friend riding in the car, first of all, if you got somebody with you like that, there's a conversation that needs to happen before you just start going live. There's a conversation that needs to happen. I've been in countless situations around people that are affluent, and there's conversations that happen, or this is a no phone zone. You know what I'm saying? So even like
NDAs, yeah.
Right. So I was just in one last Saturday. It's like, nobody takes off the phone. It's a common understanding that this is a safe space where we all can kind of let our hair down to have fun and not be judged. So let's not spoil this. But it's his community got to get it together, because they got to understand the severity of him losing $100 million. I mean, even if you're an idiot, right? Even if you're an idiot, Ja, if you're around me, I'm gonna make sure that you're good. Just like LeBron on the ship, because we hate to keep up bringing LeBron, but it's a true instance, and it's one that we've seen pan out for the betterment of his whole community, even all the way down to Akron. Does Akron get I Promise School if LeBron failed or fumbled the bag? No, they don't. Or the other foundation that he just opened, or the 330 house, I think it's called, or something like that. Do they get that if he fumbles $130 million? No. So it's kind of like the community needs to get their self together so they understand the severity of who he is in their lives and how his losses affect everybody else around him. You know what? He may not want to take on that ownership, but if you're Ja Morant, it's on you, bro. The ownership is on you. The ownership is on you. You are the lifeline to your crew. So your crew got to be stronger to hold you accountable and think 2 steps ahead of you to make sure that you're straight, so everybody else is good. It's.
I don't even think Ja needs a therapist. You know what I think? And I'm not saying he doesn't. I think every black man needs a therapist, right? Shameless plug. Every black man needs a therapist. But to your point, Jay, you know what I think Ja Morant needs more than anything else? Let's just talk real, right? I know I'm a pastor, but let's just talk real. Athletes go to strip clubs. We talk about James Harden all the time. They say he lives in the strip club. Athletes may brandish guns. We don't see it. We don't hear about it. Athletes use drugs. Athletes womanize. Athletes party. Athletes do all this stuff. But why is this the only fool out here who's got all his stuff on social media? So it's not to me that he needs a therapist. He needs a business manager. He needs a PR representative. And I don't understand why this guy on this level, it could be to Jay's point that maybe he came into the affluence so quickly, but y'all know this. These athletes are not really running their bag. The only person I know who really ran their bag was Shaquille O'Neal. And maybe there's some others, but I'm saying popular people who just had, but Shaquille had his dad in his life. There was a structure around him. He's just different. But for the most part, there's somebody behind the scenes like Jason Tatum. I heard Jason Tatum has never spent a paycheck in his career. His mom, the only thing he spends is off of his endorsements. His mom manages his bag. I don't know. You say 90-10. I don't know. We can go to Coaxum. What are your thoughts about? Because this, I feel like it's not Ja. I feel like Ja would not be the basketball player he is on his own. Ja got there because of his daddy. Ja got there because of coaches. Ja got there because of trainers. Ja got there because of other people around him. I'm trying to figure out who are these people and what are they doing? They're fumbling their own bag.
Yeah, but because you say that is the reason I'm about to say what I'm about to say now. Because he had all those people from the beginning, I'm going to go, and this may sound a little harsh, I think it's 100% Ja Morant, okay? And let me tell you why. When you come and sit before me as a counselor and a therapist, and you talk about how bad your support circle is and the people around you or whatever, I cannot control them. I can't speak to them. I don't know them. The only thing that we can control in that room is you and the decisions that you make with your circle and with your life. Ultimately, it's 100% his fault and it's his decisions. Like I said before, he can remove every single person around him out of his life right now. He has the means and the ability. I'm saying he could do it. Yes, he can. He doesn't have to hang out with anybody. He could have bodyguards. I'm saying besides a moral responsibility to his father, which I feel like his father may be a good accountability person for him. I'm saying all these other people in his life that he doesn't want to be around, he has the means to do that. Whether he will do it or not is a different story. Also, when does one become a man? When does one become a man? That's another question that we need to ask, especially in our society and in our world. And I think we do need to hold men accountable. 23 years old, yes, it is young. I'm 36, all right? So what? That's 13 years behind me. But at that age, you are still an adult. I would consider that an adult. I would consider that a man who should be mature and responsible enough for his own actions. And I think, we keep passing off a lot of these excuses to men, which is why many of them continue to make these same mistakes. At the end of the day, yes, support and social circle matters. I think Jason would agree in mental health space. That's one of the number one things we look at is your social circle, who you have around you. But at the end of the day, if they are not going to change, you have to be the person that is going to change. And I'm sorry, but I hold him 100% responsible. Also, because he's already done it before and had consequences. I think we have to take all that into account.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I just think we're making it more complex than it needs to be. I'm with Pastor Coaxum. Ja Morant's responsible for his own business. He's the CEO of Ja Morant Incorporated. If he wants to fritter that away on Instagram, making a jack wagon out of himself, that's his right to do. We know that it's not illegal for him to do that, but he's an adult. And at the end of the day, I say this on my show a lot, and I take a lot of flack for it. Myron said I don't hot take it enough. I generally don't care what's going on with these athletes. When I used to be a season ticket holder to the Phoenix Suns, I could give two darns if Devin Booker broke up with his girlfriend or has a stomach ache. I want him to go out and put up 30 points because I paid $400 for that ticket. And people, this is entertainment, man. This isn't activism. This isn't saving the world. People plop down a lot of money to go to Memphis Grizzlies games and season tickets to see Ja Morant play. If he's unable to play for whatever reason, whether it's a mental issue, whether it's legal issues that come up or the NBA suspends him, people will move on to the next. They'll move on to Victor Wembanyama. They'll move on to whoever's coming up in the draft next year because it's business. It's not personal. So he has an opportunity to have a very successful business. I mean, think about it, guys, before I close. A max deal in the NBA is $300 million now, which means that it's going to be $500 million in the next 10 years. Ja Morant's 23. He could get 3 max deals if he plays like Chris Paul. He's in his late 30s. Ja Morant can make $1 billion playing basketball for a living. If he'd rather trap out, that's his business. It's his responsibility. And whatever happens in his life, that will be on him.
The only reason why we care about this, good point. The only reason why we care about this story is because it's Ja Morant. He is an American professional basketball player. He's a star. He's a great player in the league. All right. That's the only reason why we're tripping on it. But let's just look at Ja Morant and his daddy T and his mama. Let's just look at him as a regular dude who just happens to have money. And he comes to either one of you guys. Like maybe he comes to the winning circle. I don't know. How do you help a man who's serially making bad decisions? And honestly, in this respect, Ja Morant is not that unique, right? And I'm sure you know about this, Coaxum, having people come and sit in your office. You know about this from having worked in the industry as well. But I mean, and as a pastor, we have people, all of us, maybe even ourselves personally, have found ourselves where we have made bad decisions repeatedly. It's just that we are not worth, $250 million, and we don't have, and when we put it on social media, nobody really cares, or we don't put it on social media. So Ja Morant, as a man, what kind of help do you recommend for any brother who's listening to this who may say, you know what, I don't relate to Ja Morant from a financial perspective, but I do relate to Ja Morant from effing up all the time. There are guys watching right now who have cheated on their wives and said that they would not cheat on their wives, and they keep doing it. There are folks on here who said that they're going to improve their finances, and for whatever reason, they keep gambling. There are guys on here, and I'm not saying that what Ja did is an addiction. I personally think from a clinical perspective, I think this guy has a serious identity crisis. I think he's the kid in school who always wanted to be cool, always wanted to be liked, and maybe he was even driven to basketball because maybe that's how he got affirmation from his father. Maybe that's how he got status in school. But maybe he's not the guy that we thought he is. Maybe he's not. Maybe he is superficial. Maybe he doesn't have depth. No, he doesn't have foundations. No, he's not doing anything significant because all he thought is that I just want to make it and play ball. And if I'm making him play ball, I am who I am. And we're expecting more of him than that. But how do you help a man who is a repeat offender in an area where he said he was going to stop? Like, what's the fix for a Ja Morant for real? Not for the business, not for the celebrity status, not for any of that, but it's just as a man. And I'm going to start with you, Jay, and then we'll go to Coaxum and we'll end with Jason. What's the fix?
I would say that 2 words: brutal honesty. I've talked about in my own personal life, I probably lost about 70 pounds in the last year. And basically the reason I lost 70 pounds, because I had a doctor that was a great doctor that told me, he was just like, look, if you keep weighing 260, 270, you're going to die before you're 65. He's like, bottom line, straight up, you need to lose 70, 80 pounds. He didn't pat me on the back for losing 10 pounds. He was brutally honest about my family history and my own health history. And I think someone just needs to be brutal honest with Ja Morant. It's, you have a chance to do one thing, you can go another way. He's obviously made enough money to live the rest of his life now. I mean, if he never plays again, he's going to live better than the 4 of us. But brutal honesty says you have a chance to have a very successful business and be an iconic figure and live a life that few could dream of. You could be someone that was a former athlete and just kind of lives a normal life. Or you get in a trap culture, you get killed at a club in Memphis. What do you want to do? Really explore that and then start backing up on, if you really want to have a business, like you said, hire a business manager, start bringing in the right people. If you don't care, go down that route, and he's going to have his awakening. And I just think brutal honesty is where it's going.
Sometimes it takes a moment like this in order for a person to grow up and experience and become the best version of themselves. Go ahead, Coaxum.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Also I've heard a lot of, I've seen some videos of some actual gang members out in Cali and other places or whatever who are like, yo, we'd love to have a conversation with this guy. We love to tell him how it really is. We love to tell him how we'd rather kill than be in opposition. Like, for real, like they were like, we'd love to have a conversation with him and let him know what it's really about, to see if he's really about that life. And I'm not talking about, I don't want to do like a little scared straight episode with him, but I think some of that actually would be helpful to him, as Jay says, so he can know where his decisions are leading him. And then secondly, listen, this is not breaking news. I think your boy does need some actual therapy, like not going just to a rehab for a few days or whatever. I think, as you pointed out, Myron, there could be something there. Somebody needs to go back into his past and ask some questions. So, I've dealt with clients. There has been one sentence said to them from their father and led them down an extremely dangerous path for the rest of their life. I still talk to them today. Just one word, or the lack of a word, not saying I love you, or not being there, or not showing up, whatever the situation is. Maybe there's something like that going on. And let me just I got to throw in this too. The Bible talks about a man's heart is very deep, but a man of understanding, right, can draw it out. There is something. There's something going on with him that I think can be helped through therapy, and I think he should commit himself long term to it.
No, that's a good word. Actually, that text. I love that script. No apologies here, man, about the word. But yeah, a wise man will draw it out. A wise man is introspective. A wise man is concerned about those things. Jason, what about you, man? What you got Ja Morant, man. He came over to the crib, man. Put some steaks on the grill, and you have an opportunity to chat with the brother, man. What kind of advice you gonna give this guy, man?
Just very simple. It's very apparent his family is important to him, because he has his father at the game, he has his people around him, and just a simple conversation like, bro, the decisions that you make is going to affect not only you, but the people around you. Community is big with me. My guys around me, my family is really, really big to me. So I don't get into a lot of the trash out there because, I don't want it to affect those around me who I love. So you got to hold your circle down. You got to hold your tribe down. You got to hold your community down. You are the guy that's leading everybody to a better life, So if you don't care about that, that's on you. But if you do care about that, you got to switch up your decision making, because you're headed down the road that's not going to only affect you, but it's going to affect everybody around you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Ja Morant is even a conversation right now, because for whatever reason, and this generation has a addiction to getting likes. And here's the thing, he's already famous. but not famous enough. Right.
Yeah.
So you're already famous, but not famous enough. Like you literally, anything you post is going to get a reaction and a response because of who you are. You are already famous, but not famous enough. And I think that just speaks to something that's deeper inside of him. And I would, you know, honestly, if you were asking me, man, I want to sit down with his community. And I hear you, Coaxum. I hear you, Jay. Yes, I do. Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always 100% response. If you're a grown up, like, yeah, you know, it's your responsibility to make good decisions. But everybody on here knows that the sum total of our decisions are always impacted by the people that are around us. Like, I am who I am, honestly, because of you guys, right? There's certain you cannot separate who a person is from who they rolling with, man. And I'm saying I strongly believe that this guy, if you talk about family systems, something is wrong with the system. There's a system around Ja Morant that can make him one of the top basketball players. You said this, Jay, one of the top basketball players in the world, and maybe has potential to be considered in some of the top conversations of those who've ever of all time. Think about that. And where did that come from? That didn't come from being a part of some of the elite, you know what I'm saying, basketball families and communities like we're seeing now, second generation. I mean, he didn't have the opportunities that Bronny James has. He didn't have those opportunities. But we got to give his system some credit. They took this basically, you know what I'm saying, nobody from South Carolina, and they have taken him to the top of the NBA. And he went to college for how many years? How many years was he in college? 2 or 3 years at least. He wasn't one and done. What I'm saying is his is an unlikely story. So some credit has to be given to his system. My son plays basketball, and I'm fairly intelligent. I'm educated. It's not easy. The best ball players don't make it because they're the best ball players. This is not a meritocracy. It's sometimes good favor and being in the right places and having the right people around you to help you to get to where you are. Like, this kid has gotten where he has gotten because it's an American success story about the people around him. It's not just him. And so honestly, I feel like the fix for Ja is we got to get his daddy and his mama and his sister, who was a hooper herself. I don't know if you guys know. This is a successful family in sports, but something is amiss with respect to their character. They need Jesus. Now, you didn't ask me. I'm gonna tell you. They need some kind of moral compass outside of the greatness of sports. They need some kind of North Star. Like, what do I have this for? That's why I'm saying, listen, y'all know I love LeBron James, but I'd say this in closing, and maybe y'all want to add a few other points. Man, LeBron James says I'm more than an athlete, man. Dude, this is why this story is so amazing to me. Because if there's anybody that should be Ja Morant, you talk about Allen Iverson. LeBron James is from Akron. This man moved. He grew up in the projects. Like, LeBron James is from the hood. And LeBron James, for whatever the reason, decision where recognizes that the platform that he has been given as an athlete is bigger than that. Ja don't see that. And I feel like not only is the fix for Ja, we need to have a serious conversation with him. I think the conversation needs to be had with his entire community about because if not, they need to separate themselves from him.
He needs to talk to Coutinho Mobley. He needs to give him Mobley. Coutinho Mobley, sure. give him the real.
No, he would, and he has been given the real lately. And listen, fellas, honestly, I don't know what y'all. This has been one of the greatest conversations. This is the best conversations we had. Great insights. And I just want to say to all the brothers that are watching, please go to the website, mensbreakthroughmastermind.com. Everything we talked about, some of y'all are going to be real critical of Ja Morant in the hypothetical because you don't got money like him and you're not an athlete, but you do stupid stuff all the time. You are a repeat offender in making bad decisions. And my personal opinion is the only way you can fix that is you need to be in the right community that's going to help you to get there. Here at the Winning Circle, like we're helping brothers on a regular basis change outcomes, change their lives. Ja's a father, change the lives of their children. Like, there's a better version of yourself that you probably haven't tapped into because you don't know how. please join the Men's Breakthrough Mastermind. Go. You have to apply for this. We don't take everybody, but go to our website, apply for it. If you really feel like I need to change my life, I need to do better, go to mensbreakthroughmastermind.com. Thank y'all so much, and we'll see y'all next time on the Get Your Shift Together Men's Podcast.
Welcome to the Get Your Shift Together Men's Podcast with your host, Dr. Myron Edmonds.